Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. This video is extremely interesting to say the least. It's also very contradicting, controversial, and a psychological aspect, the approach that comes with this video is something I couldn't turn down. You guys know me, I love diving deep. I love dissecting different types of topics, subjects, and I do like to look at both sides of the coin, pun intended. So if you get what I'm saying, this video is going to be a good one. I'm doing a 45,000 subscriber silver giveaway, so if you want a chance to win some free silver, make sure you're subscribed. I'm also about to be giving away a 10-ounce Wall Street silver bar. So, I mean, and that giveaway is going to be approaching very soon. It's going to be a random giveaway, so not when I hit a milestone. I'm just going to throw the giveaway entry video out there. So you got to be subscribed because I do tons of updates. I also post daily videos. So this title, it speaks for itself, but then it leaves a lot of questions afterwards. So 3 reasons why waiting for cheaper silver doesn't make sense. And they spelled sense, C-E-N-T-S, which makes the question even more interesting because cheaper silver would mean you're saving cents. So there's just a lot to go in this. This is definitely one of those titles that catches your eye, and you want to hear the context. You want to hear the understanding, the point that they're trying to make. So I really want you guys to participate in the comment section of this video. I want you guys to lay out your ideas because it's a psychological aspect. When you are making decisions, when you are investing, you're using your mental state, your perspective. It goes into your mood at that moment in time. If you're angry, arguing with your wife, you might start making some impulse buying or panic selling, making irrational decision making. That's why I always say keep the emotional attachment out. But all of this, regardless of the point, it all has the psychological approach, and that's why it's called a strategy. It's why it's called panic selling. You're in a panic. That's why it's called impulse buying. You're making impulsive, irrational decisions. So anyways, let's jump into this. So if you're still waiting to buy physical silver to start a stash, you're now playing financial Russian roulette with 4 rounds in the cylinder. And that's a very bold point. I guess it can make sense because they're saying waiting. The key word in this first sentence is waiting. See, I'm not one of those coupons type people. I'm not one of those people that's going to drive 10, 15 miles away to get gas that's 10 cents cheaper because I just spent that much money in gas driving there and actually probably losing money to drive back. I'm not one of those people. I'm a very straightforward, whatever. So when I apply that same principle to silver prices, it's pretty much the same. I'm not going to look on APMEX, JM Bullion, and Provident Metals, and if one of them has a 5 cent lower premium, I'm going to go. I mean, I really don't care to that aspect or to that extent, but there definitely can be times, and there is times. But what they're trying to say, or I think that's at least what they're trying to say so far, is that $26 for an ounce of silver or $27, that's still a steal. Whether it's $1 more, $2 more, $2 less, buying silver at anything around these prices, $25, $30, is a steal, and you should be buying it all up. Because what happens if you're holding off on buying right now, missing this $26 opportunity, and what happens in a month or 2 or 3 or 4 months of you still holding off, then the price starts jumping to $30, $35, $40. You missed all these opportunities because you're waiting for pennies, for pennies of a drop or a couple dollars, and it really is. This pandemic has sped things up times 10. I've been making videos for 6 years on this channel telling you guys, silver's time is coming. Silver's time is coming. The pandemic hit and sped everything up times 10. What was going to happen back then? was still going to be happening. I would still be sitting here making videos telling you buy silver, but the pandemic is just making everything happen faster. So you don't have that precious time. You don't have time to, oh, let's see how it plays out the next couple of quarters. And if it looks like, no, you don't have time for that anymore. We're throwing trillions of dollars out every couple of months. So anyway, the chat rooms talk about buying silver and gold when they decline in price, right? Buy the dip. If silver goes down to $22, I'm all in. You know, when these excessive premium drops a few dollars, I'm backing up the truck. So one is emotion and sentiment. And that's kind of what I was going into with the emotional attachment. Believe it or not, buying on a price drop goes against human nature. And that's exactly true. It really is. Do you realize right now everything's calm with Bitcoin because it's sitting at $50,000? Not many people are buying Bitcoin right now. But if it was at 65, 70,000, everyone would be buying it. Wait, Silver Slayer, that doesn't make sense. Why would they buy it when the price is higher? It's because they have validation that it can grow. If you already know Bitcoin is worth 70,000, then you should be buying as much as you can right now for 50. If you already know that silver's price, its true value, is a lot more than $26, then you should be buying boatloads of silver right now. But for some reason, when it's a bear market, nobody wants to touch it. But then when the price goes up, then they buy it. It doesn't make sense. It goes against human nature. It is a bit strange, right? Because if you go to the store and find your favorite grass-fed beef on sale, you'll probably see how much you can stuff in the freezer. But back to the metals. How many people do you know who purchased silver in the spring of 2020 when it fell briefly to $12? Or in 2008 when it fell to $9 before rising to $50 less than 3 years later? Did you? I mean, I did. I did. Not in, I guess 2008, obviously I wasn't stacking back then, but I'm sure I actually did a video, found an article from back in that time frame, that era when silver hit $50, and reading what the articles were talking about. And most articles were saying they thought silver was going to be a lot more expensive, grow a lot more than $50. So it's just a little interesting fact. Most people didn't sell at $50 back then. They held it thinking it was going to keep going up, and then they missed their opportunity to sell at extremely high prices. So that's one of the double-edged swords. But anyways, another big change, seemingly contradictory, is that increasing numbers of well-studied investors are buying whether the price goes up or down, with the retail supply getting continually whittled away. Their sentiment seems not as heavily impacted as others who remain fearful of declines, or, as in still with the case of most Americans, are not aware of how quickly government-induced inflation is eating away at the value of their pensions and the greenbacks in their wallets. And that's the point I'm trying to make. The longer you keep your money in US dollars and fiat currency, it's just burning away. Transfer your money into something that holds value. Just like Elon Musk, all of the earnings from Tesla and SpaceX, he's putting directly into Bitcoin and gold. He's not keeping any of his money in US dollars where it's just going to be burning in his bank account. So during market turbulence, the news is invariably causing a decline in sentiment, making it difficult even for those of us who've been in these markets for many years to go ahead and buy. One of the most important characteristics of an investor who succeeds long-term over the majority who do not is ability to buy when others are selling and sell when others are buying, right? And that's exactly what I always say on this channel. When most people are talking about something and all buying it, you miss the boat. It's too late. But when nobody's talking about it, like right now, Bitcoin $50,000, that's when you buy it. Most people are probably selling Bitcoin at 50,000 because they bought at 55, 60,000 and now it dropped down and now they're scared. They're like, oh, I lost my money. I'm going to get out right now. And then in a couple months, it goes up to 65, 70,000, and they're kicking themselves in the butt. It happens every time with Bitcoin, precious metals. It's the same thing. It's a mind game. You have to have patience. You have to understand the bigger picture. But most importantly, you have to understand the value, the true value of your asset, right? All of that comes from fear. All of that comes from a lack of faith in your investment, and you shouldn't need validation. You shouldn't need price validation. So anyways, it's like the habit of going to the gym. At some point, it never gets any easier. No matter how strong your original motivation was, it can still be hard to push yourself out the door to keep it at all. To handle buying more silver when sentiment's negative, like it is now, simply go out, as a Galactic Update Thompson said, buy less than is rational. How much is less important than keeping the habit? That's a good point. This is where the periodic auto buy setup works so well. The decision has previously made since automatic, less second guessing gets in the way. And that's a good point. I actually did that the other day. I haven't made like a really big purchase on silver in a while. So I just went on APMEX the other day and bought a couple pandas. Well, actually, I did just buy a tube of Eagles. So I guess I still am buying pretty heavy, but I still haven't bought any like coins of my like the higher premium stuff. So I just went on there and bought, just a couple ounces. And that was me, I think, doing exactly what this guy was saying, right? Still stacking silver, even though I'm not buying tons and tons of it. It's just still getting that silver inflow coming into my stack. So number 2 is premiums. A decade ago, the premiums didn't change much. Now there's a different metric. When the price drops, people buy more. Supplies dry up because silver miners are producing less. And just as important, legitimate sellers who are not trying to gauge anybody raise premiums because they're paying way more for a supply. If they sell what they have for a silly paper price, unreflective of market reality, then they have no product. To make matters worse for the contrarian who's waiting for the price to drop, premiums rise to the point that their cost goes up even more than the drop in the physical price. For example, the going rate for American Silver Eagles used to be about $3 above spot. These days, an Eagle can get you $10, $15 over spot. So if you're waiting for $20 silver, and should it actually get there, you'll pay $32 for the coin privilege, and that's if you can find any. Blame Canada. If you're one of the unfortunate neighbors to the north, and you didn't buy any silver some years ago when the Canada was trading at par with US dollar, you now have to pay an extra 20% of a much less favorable exchange rate. A double cost premium by a different name. Pardon our Canadian friends having a hard time backing up the truck just now. So it's a good point. I mean, there's a lot. I love this article. Very well written. It's very decorative. It paints a lot of pictures, uses a lot of metaphors. But anyways, number 3, supply and demand. So in the old days, when the price dropped, you could simply go in and get what you wanted, or because people stopped buying and there was plenty around, in part due to global silver production running as surplus each year, right? Instead of losing hundreds of millions of ounces every year, it was gaining. It was in the green. So yields at the relatively few primary silver miners have been dropping for over a decade. But the decline in total ounces produced just started showing up in the annual figures during the last few years. Actually, it's only like 3% last year. So 2021 is likely to mark the 4th consecutive year in this pattern. Thus, a profoundly altered and systematic supply metric is now in play. Historic anomaly. Trying all of this into a bow are 2 structural changes, each a first for anyone now alive. As mentioned above, we're well into a structural ongoing supply decline, made worse because most silver is used in modern applications, not recoverable. All the silver that's in these gadgets is getting thrown away, not to be recycled like gold is. Gold's recycled because it's used in jewelry, for jewelry, stuff like that. So people scrap it, they sell it, and it gets remelted. Silver's the opposite. Silver's used in laptops, cell phones, stuff like that, gets thrown away. The silver's not recovered, not being recycled. So you have that part of it, but then you have to also incorporate the fact that silver is going to be needed more and more and more and more and more as we go into these new technologies, and the demand is still booming from people like you and I as well. So silver demand is going to be booming, but like the article just said, supply, if there's very few silver mines, silver's found by byproduct. So like palladium, which went through the same supply-demand alteration on a smaller scale, the result before long to be an upside price explosion. If you guys don't remember last year when palladium had that huge explosion. So also, whether or not you believe in conspiracy theories, silver, unlike any other commodity on board, has for the past few decades been massively manipulated by short sellers who push paper silver derivatives into the market in order to keep the true price well below where all things considered it should be. So in the process, they profit by resulting in volatility in both directions. And volatility is silver's, middle name. And that's because the market's a lot smaller than gold. So when money comes in or comes out, it affects silver at a much more dramatic price than gold. I call silver gold on steroids. More people call it the devil's metal, a more dramatic version of gold. If gold's going to rise 10%, silver's going to rise 15, 20%. But also, like this article just said, vice versa. It's also dangerous in that aspect because if gold drops 10%, silver's going to drop 15, 20%. So you got to be careful. More opportunity, but it's also riskier. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you thought this video was educational, informational, at least entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. Posting daily videos, make sure you're subscribed. You're not going to want to miss these giveaways. They're very good ones. I also have a P.O. box. I'm going to start doing some fan mail unboxings. If you want to, if you want to send me any silver or whatever, or just write a note saying you should like my channel, doesn't matter. I really do love, connecting with you guys, engaging with you guys, and that's just a cool way to do it. So thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. Link to this article will be in the description. See you guys soon. Peace.